From LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Mornings LALATE.
It's a big morning of Mornings LALATE with huge news about your stocks, your bonds, your crypto, and your fourth stimulus check update of 2022. The great news is that a fourth stimulus check has landed in every U.S. state. And over this big broadcast, live on air from the shores of Santa Monica, California this morning, we're going to go over that fourth stimulus check for you to get. The fourth stimulus check has landed in every U.S. state, and we're going to go over how for you to get it. Step 1, subscribe to this channel. Step 2, become a member. And Step 3, get that membership newsletter in today's recording. We have a lot of breaking news this morning. Of course, it's about the recessionary environment, which I had told you in February was coming in 2023. Well, the latest details tonight signal that, or this morning signal that we could have a bear market that has stocks down 40%, not 20%, from where they are today. All the latest details on that front. Then we have Jay Powell speaking this week. What is he going to talk about? He's going to talk about flying pigs and dancing cows. Of course, that's what he's going to talk about. All the latest progress of where the Federal Reserve is taking us into recession. Next up, we have a lot of economic data coming out this week. Then we have great news as the Build Back Better Act negotiations are back underway. And we have a huge shocker of a story this morning, brand new, as one of the major items that Joe Biden said he would do is having big meetings next week to get finalized. Which item is it? Oh, it's coming up new in today's recording. Then we'll go over those incredible provisions of the Build Back Better Act. Which of them will survive the negotiations of Chuck Schumer and Joe Manchin, and which will not? All the latest details on that front as well. From the shores of Santa Monica, California, it's a big morning as the toast is toasted. The butter is buttering. The bacon is in the room. He's in the live chat. And there's some bacon digital for you as well. From the shores of Santa Monica, California, we're going to go over those four stimulus checks that are in every U.S. state. Start by subscribing, hitting that membership link, getting that membership newsletter, and staying to the very end, because I have some surprise checks for you later in this recording. For a big new day, for this big, beautiful day of May, it's Mornings LALATE, and the excitement starts right here, right now, as Mornings LALATE gets underway from the shores of Santa Monica, California, on a big day, starting right now. And good morning, everybody. I hope you have a beautiful day. It is May 22nd, 2022, or it's, whatever day of the week you wanted to make it. It's a big, bold live broadcast from the shores of Santa Monica, California. Hope you are great. The great news is that a fourth stimulus check has landed in every U.S. bank, in every U.S. state, and I'm going to go over those incredible checks and how you get them in your bank account. Step 1, subscribe. Step 2, become a member. Step 3, get that newsletter. And Step 4, stay to the very end of this video, because I'm going to show you how to get those incredible checks over this broadcast. We have the latest details on a major series of issues today. A big shocker as student loan debt forgiveness could get the announcement this week. Yeah, here we go. Exciting breaking news this morning. SS300, we're going to heat up that front as well. We'll be turning over to the Build Back Better Act. We'll be turning over those recessionary pressures and economic concerns that continue to grow. And the new week, the new economic data, the new corporate earnings, what that means for your wallet, what it means for your economy, and what it means for the stimulus stampede, which I'm reporting will be coming to this channel in 3 months from now. And with that, let's start a brand new broadcast live on air from Santa Monica, California. Good morning. How are you? It's a great day as a fourth stimulus check is in every U.S. state. Thank God there is. And I'm going to show you how to get that great check later in this video. It arrives not 5 weeks from now, not 5 months from now, not 5 days from now, 5 seconds from now, because these are huge checks. And a new report released on Friday suggests that these checks are more than the average savings of the U.S. bank account of a consumer. Well, Yes, I got checks for you upwards of $80,000. They're coming up later in this recording. It's a big day with a lot of developing details, and it starts with the new recessionary worries. Here we go. Back in the month of February, I was the only U.S. broadcaster recording that we're going to recession for 2 years starting in 2023. In February, people thought I was crazy. Now, every major story features the R word, recession. And here is what they're doing today. Here's a new quote from CEO Mansour Al Mahmoud, who is the CEO of Qatar Investment Authority. They're a big company. They are the number 9 largest wealth fund in the planet at $450 billion under asset. He says that we will potentially have a recession that'll be recession light. Is this like diet soda? We're less pessimistic, but we are not saying we won't have a slowdown. I'm just saying we're not, and I'm not saying we may not have a recession, but if we have a recession, it'll be a light recession. Here's the takeaway is a lot of people are afraid to use the R word, but we're having a recession. It started back in February, and I was the first to record that we're going to recession for 2 years. Then Deutsche Bank in April, 2 months later, the German bank said the U.S. economy is going to recession for 2 years starting next January, just like I said. And then we had a series of banks that said it's sort of watered down. Morgan Stanley and J.P. Morgan Chase saying maybe, possibly. Well, what changed? Change was last Friday. 81% of Americans polled by a financial news channel, whose viewers are financial news viewers, so they're a little bit more sophisticated, 81% of them said we're going to recession. Later this year, oh boy, what is a recession? A recession is 2 consecutive quarters of negative gross national product, GDP growth. GDP shows how much this economy is growing. And if you have 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP, you are in recession. Is it possible by the end of the year? Let's go over the analysis. I said we were supposed to have 7.1% growth in the month of April. That was Wall Street's projections. It came in 6.9, so it came in lower. Where's GDP right now? If it's at 4% right now, which is I think it is, it's shrinking. That means this is a negative GDP growth quarter. But will the whole quarter be negative enough? I don't know. I believe that the fourth quarter this year absolutely will be negative GDP, and the next quarter of 2023 will be. But could we have 2 quarters down this year? We will see. Now, let's look at what Jay Powell and some of those analysis that came in just minutes ago said about this growth. These are great quotes. I love these quotes. I haven't had quotes this good in a long time. Here comes Julian Emmanuel, head of equity, derivative, and quantitative strategy at Evercore ISI. If it's a derivative analyst, you know he's smart. It's a process. This last week was scary, he's saying. In breaking through the last week's bottoms, these things take time. I love that quote. He's basically saying it takes time to erode. It takes time for a downward spiral of the U.S. economy. Then Emmanuel goes on to say the following. There's another step in the bottoming process, but we need to follow through. You're going to get a series of retailers this coming week. I have their list for you in 10 seconds from now. And that process is under the microscope. We're absolutely viral to a response to see those retailers' reports. I love that quote. Why? This economy is giving us guidance based upon the retailers' corporate earnings reports. They came in with Amazon 3 weeks ago, Walmart and Target last week, followed by Kohl's and also Ross Dress for Less. And these retailers told us more than anything else about this economy. I'll explain to you why right now. Last week, we started the week with the retail sales numbers. And if you look at the number, it was just sort of a bland number. It didn't really tell you a lot. And when we talked about supply chain disruption on this channel, we basically versioned it as can't get the product from the manufacturer to you. That's supply chain disruption, isn't it? No, it's a little bit more complicated. We learned from Walmart and Target. What do they say? They say they ordered the products and the products came late. And by the time they came late, no one wanted them. The weather had changed. They were out of season. They were out of fashion. And then they had the product. They could not return it. They're the retail stores. They had to put them on the shelves and discount them. And they did not sell. And then what else? They had too many store merchants on the floor not selling products in those shelves. Ouch. So this was a component of retail sales. This is a component of the U.S. economy. This is a component of Supply chain disruption, we did not know, and we would not know from the data until those retailers reported. Let's go over what else Emmanuel says. This is big. This is astronomical. I told you these are huge quotes. The whole thing comes down to whether there's going to be a recession or not. In the last 3 bear markets of the stock market, this is Emmanuel talking, the last 3 bear markets of the stock market, where there was no recession, the decline of the stock market was 21.3%. But we're already basically there. Translate. The last 3 times we've had bear markets of this stock market, when we did not have recession, we had the stock market down 21%. We are already down 21% today. The stock market has had 7 consecutive weeks. It is now at the lowest levels, or crashing to its lowest levels since the 1920s. But that is not recessionary environment. That's just a bad bear market. Continues Emmanuel. In the last 3 markets where it was a bear market and a recession, the average decline was not 21.3% of the stock market. It was down 48%. Those bear markets were 2000, 2008, and 2020. 2020, of course, is COVID. 2008 is probably the last one you remember if you're of adult age. And 2000, a few people may have remembered that as well. Now, stagflation. No one has seen stagflation of adult age, because stagflation is when you have inflation and recession. But this is huge. And again, this is what I've been reporting. The stock market has a long way down to go. It is not finished going down. It's going to go down a lot more. 7 consecutive weeks. Stocks, bonds, yes, it's going to go worse. And this bear market is not recession. Recession is 48% down. Stocks were only 21% down. Here comes Art Hogan. Wow. Art Hogan is one of my favorite analysts. He's from National Securities. And this is where he says, we're likely to see a shift focusing on the economic data. We get the April read on the new home sales this week. He's right. It's coming up in a second. And then we get durable goods, and we're likely to see some improvement there. And one thing is consistent with the data. It's been better than the market reaction to it. Yeah. Here's what's happening is the data, these economic numbers that come out like CPI and PPI, are not helping telling us where this economy is going. It's the corporate earnings. We're learning so much from the corporate earnings about your consumer confidence and more. Here is what we learned late last week, and I am telling you, it's sort of a fringe analysis. It's not a mainstream analysis, and I can't co-sign to it because I don't know if it's true, but if it's true, it's very scary. The series of reports stem from the following elements, which we do know are true. We do know the following things are true. 1, that when Kohl's, Ross, Target, Home Depot, Amazon had this prior quarter of earnings, they had big problems with gasoline, shipping the products into the store, the shippers, the transportation. And they had big economic problems with that. What we don't know is what these analysts are now saying. Are these analysts correct? Some analysts are now saying that the stores are now suggesting they did not absorb the costs. They will no longer absorb those costs and will start passing those costs on to you. Yes, the series of analysts are now suggesting that those major retailers may have been absorbing the costs of supply chain disruption, like gasoline, and not passing those costs over to you. But with their balance sheets out of control, with their net incomes dramatically down, with their stocks down 40%, the big box retailers may no longer absorb these costs and may, yes, suddenly pass those costs over to you. So if you see that price of bread currently at $5 a loaf, it could go to $7. See that price of milk at $5 a gallon, it could go to $7. What's going on here? Those analysts now say that the big box retailers cannot absorb those costs anymore and may push those costs over to you. That means that inflation could go higher. 8% inflation currently in the U.S. economy, it could go even higher. This is why Build Back Better Act is getting negotiated lickety-split right now. Build Back Better Act resumed negotiations over 2 weeks ago, as I first reported on this channel. But what I got wrong was the cast of characters negotiating it. It is Joe Manchin and Chuck Schumer. Joe Manchin and Chuck Schumer have resumed negotiations on the Build Back Better Act, and the news is all great. Let me go over what's going on. First, remember that the Build Back Better Act would give you additional checks on top of those four stimulus checks that are already in every U.S. state. Yes. So these negotiations have resumed. The cast of characters is great. What have they told us? What have Chuck Schumer and Joe Manchin have told us? 1, they want to get this done. 2, it will get done. 3, you are struggling economically, and that is why they want you to get, or financially, and that's why they want to get you the money. Great news. So they both subscribe to the fact that they're going to get it done, and they want to get it done, and you need the help. That is awesome. Now, what is my opinion of the situation? I love that it's these two guys negotiating. Why? Because these are two of the most blunt congressional leaders. They confirm in a series of reports, but we didn't need them to say it, that they adore each other. Joe Manchin and Chuck Schumer really like each other. They have worked side by side for many years. They know each other's likes and dislikes. Number 2, they're very blunt individuals. They're two of the most blunt congressmen. West Virginia and New York. Yeah, they tell you what they think. And that is why I believe it's going to get done. Let's make it even clearer. Not part of the negotiations are any progressives. Bernie, Liz, Jalopal, Nancy, all excluded. It is just Chuck and Joe. And with that, here's what I want you to know. First, they say they're going to get the negotiations done and it's a law by Memorial Day weekend. It's going to happen. I think it's really tight. I think it's insanely tight. I mean, it basically says they have to finish negotiating in 10 seconds, then get it drafted, then call the vote. It's really tight. But will it get done? I think it will get done. Absolutely. Will the Build Back Better Act law of 2022, when it becomes law, resemble the Build Back Better Act of 2021? Here is my guesstimate. This is just my opinion. It is not factually based, except by the quotes from Joe Manchin. It will be dramatically different. It will be dramatically different. Why? Because Joe Manchin has said to us what he does not like in Build Back Better Act, and I believe those things are going away. So some things are black and white, some things are gray. Which ones are them? We're going to go over them right together as a family right now. We're going to go over those 3 clauses and 3 add-ons. We're going to go over the provisions that Joe Manchin said no, and that based upon those no's, I think they're coming out. You're ready for them? Let's look at those 3 clauses and the 3 add-ons of the Build Back Better Act. This is breaking news you haven't heard before on Mornings LA. There's $15,000 to $80,000 of forced stimulus checks in the Build Back Better Act, and they are over 3 clauses and 3 add-ons. Let's look at those 3 add-ons. First, $25,000 for the purchase of your first home. Will that survive the Maxine Waters provision? I think it would. Joe Manchin certainly understands that mortgage rates are out of control, surging from 3 to 5%. He understands that millions of Americans, like those people in West Virginia, cannot afford to buy a home, and if they want to sell the home, even more struggles across the board. So I think that provision will survive. What about the next add-on to the Build Back Better Act? The $250 billion of free home health care for seniors and people on disabilities. Will that survive? In my opinion, absolutely no. That $250 billion of free home health care will not survive. Why? It comes from reforming the Medicare system and putting more money to it. And that is what Joe Manchin has said he will not do. He will not give more money to the Medicare system because he believes it's broken, and until it's fixed, he does not want to fund it more money. So I think that provision will not survive. What about those MSCs? That was a provision to be added in, not currently in the Build Back Better Act, but to be added in. That would pay $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter. Will that provision survive for those 6 months? My projection is it will survive in some form, but potentially be a different amount. It's a different year with a lot of different things happening across the board. With that, let's turn then to the individual clusters and see their fate starting right now. In that first cluster, we have hazard pay and $4,000 of elder care and more. What about these provisions? The hazard pay, I believe that will survive. That was the earned income tax credit from 2020. I think that will survive. I don't think Joe Manchin's against it. The $4,000 of elder care, sure, that will survive. $4,000 for young children, yes. The $3,600 for the CTC, that is a gray area. That is one of those items that's sort of here nor there. I really don't know. The nutrition, that'll survive. The home repairs, that would survive. And then what about the $12,500 for the purchase of a new electric vehicle? So long as it does not impede anything else in the energy space, because Joe Manchin is head of the Energy Committee. When we turn to the second cluster of checks, it becomes a little bit more obvious. What's going to fall apart in the second cluster? Let's look at that second cluster right now. In that second cluster, we have the home repairs that's been removed. That's now a stimulus check. It's coming up later in this video. And paid leave. Paid leave, gone. Not going to survive. Joe Manchin said, I will not support Build Back Better Act if it's in there. It was out. Then Nancy put it back in, and Manchin said, take it out. So it's absolutely going by the wayside. Let's go to that third cluster. More casualties here as well. Free internet for all, checks, I think that'll survive. Independent contractors checks, farmers checks, I think that will survive. But everything for the seniors, that is from Bernie Sanders, that is progressive-led, that involves adding more money to the Medicare system, will not survive. Dental, no, not going to survive. Vision, no. Hearing, no. These are all Medicare benefits, absolutely will not survive. Joe Manchin says, I'm against all of that. And then what about the Medicaid gap fix? That would survive. That is that workaround plan that provide insurance to uninsured people in 12 Republican holdout states. That is a provision that Joe Manchin actually authored with Raphael Warnock out of Georgia. What about lowering the eligibility age of Medicare from 65 to 55? Absolutely not. That will not survive. That's just basically putting more people on Medicare. Joe Manchin doesn't want to put anything more to Medicare anywhere, life or form. And that is why it's so important to understand that the fourth stimulus check that is in every U.S. state, you need to get it right today, because these are monster checks. And we don't have to sit around and go through this analysis, what will and won't survive. These checks are law. These checks are in every U.S. state. These checks are available for you right now. And how do you get them? They're coming up later in the video. Subscribe, become a member, and stay with me, and stay to the very end, as I have an extra check for you at the very end of this recording. What is also heating up this week? Well, Joseph Biden is also heating up with another item. Is it SS300 or is it student loan debt forgiveness? That's coming up in a second. Jay Powell will be talking this week. What is he going to talk about? Talking pigs and flying cows. It's just Jay Powell's comedy hour. Jay Powell will be speaking this week, but it's more importantly, what are those corporate earnings this week? What is this week going to look like? You ready to dot your calendar and get ready for this week? Monday's not going to be a lot. Monday has just Zoom, which I'm really not focused on for corporate earnings, and we have two Fed presidents speaking, Fed governors speaking. It's Tuesday. Tuesday is just astronomical. Tuesday, we have Nordstrom's reporting corporate earnings, Best Buy, Ralph Lauren, Abercrombie and Finch, even AutoZone, Petco. This could be a bloodbath on Tuesday. Tuesday, we have new home sales coming out at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Will be featured on mornings or at noontime. That is a big day. The housing starts are likely to be down. This is where the data is interesting, but it's the analysis that's more important. When you look at the new home housing sales and all those numbers from Friday, it showed us that this data is not just from April. It's from people who went to go buy a house in February or March before the mortgage rates went up. More about that later in this video. What also comes up this week? Wednesday is Dick's Sporting Goods and also Express, the clothing store. Then we have Jay Powell talking on Tuesday afternoon. Larry Brainerd speaking on Wednesday. And then Thursday is the bloodbath of them all. It's retail tsunamis. Thursday is Costco, Macy's. We have Alibaba. We have Burlington stores. We have Jack in the Box. And then we have Eagle Outfitters. And then we have new jobless claims on Thursday. Last week, those jobless claims numbers, 2 weeks ago, they grew dramatically, 200,000 new jobless claims. Why is the corporate earnings so more important than the economic data lately? Because the corporate earnings tells us things that you and I just don't grasp from the data until the corporations tell us. Who knew that the corporations, when dealing with supply chain disruption, are not dealing with the issue of can't get the product to the store? They're getting the product to the store. It's coming late. And then no one wants to buy a late product. It's out of season. It's out of fashion. The product doesn't sell. It sits on the shelves. And then the manager looks at the employees and says, Why are you all here? There's too many of you. Some of you go home. Yeah, this is where this economy is going down very quickly. When you have unemployment concerns potentially growing and other things like the GDP shrinking dramatically. The data that came in on a Friday, where 81% of Americans say that they're going into recession later this year, is shocking because now consumer confidence is spinning in the other direction. Let's make this even clearer. Those bad earnings last week featured on this channel from Target, from Walmart, and the week before from Amazon, and also from Ross and Kohl's later last week. The bad numbers were not caused by Jay Powell. They were caused by the supply chain disruption in ways that you and I had no idea that was going to happen. Now, as those companies are really struggling, do you think they're going to absorb those costs indefinitely? Well, this is why you need to get a stimulus check. The stimulus checks are important because of what I'm reporting, a stimulus stampede. A stimulus stampede will be coming to this channel in less than 3 months, I project, because why? This economy is going to be really bad by September. And there is a storm out to sea, a tsunami out to sea. It's called recession. And now more Americans understand it's out to sea, but they don't feel the wind blowing on air on land yet. When they start to feel the wind blowing on air of a recession, I'm not talking about inflation, I'm talking about recession, they're going to do things totally different. And first thing they're going to do is say, LA, can you give me a check? What are they going to say? LALATE, I just got laid off from my big box retailer. Can you give me some FPUC? No, it doesn't exist. They got rid of FPUC in 2020. What about PUA? I'm an independent contractor. You got some PUA for me? No, it doesn't exist. They got rid of it in 2020. It doesn't exist anymore. What about EIDL loans or grants? My business is struggling. I can't get people in the stores. Inflation is hitting, and no, EIDL's gone. Suddenly, if all these elements that helped so many people in 2020 are gone, EIDL, PUA, FPUC, all the unemployment, all the small business stuff is gone, then what are you left with? Me. I got 4 stimulus checks in every U.S. state. And the great news is you're watching this video now in May. You're getting these checks right now because I'm going to show you how to get them after the commercial break. Because in September, there's going to be a stimulus stampede of people saying, I got big problems. I got laid off. My business is in trouble. I'm financially struggling now because I couldn't survive the inflationary pressures in May at $5 a loaf. Now it's at $6 a loaf. And guess what's even worse? Not to scare you anymore. Gasoline. Gasoline is going to go up much higher. Higher than here? Yeah, higher than here. If you remember this channel, you see the membership newsletter nightly that features the price of gasoline. It was $5.14 a gallon. Domestically, unleaded AAA average 7 days ago went to $5.20, then $5.40. This last week it was $5.50. Are you ready for $7.50 or $6.50? The part of the equation which you have not seen is China coming off of lockdown. The international price of Brent crude is hovering at 111, which is still relatively low as the gasoline in the United States is going up. As China comes off a lockdown, if they do in early June, they get back in their cars. They've been locked to their homes for 2 months, and they are one of the biggest consumers of gasoline internationally. Consumption increases, shortage increases, and price goes through the roof. Get ready for 120 a barrel. Brent crude is what I'm projecting. And a price of gasoline domestically on average of $5.40 or higher. It's already $6.30 here in Los Angeles now, before the event of China unravels. If you're in the live chat, post what your money you're paying for gasoline at the pump. And I will feature it in the second half of this video. But you know what's coming up in the second half of this video? Big fourth stimulus checks in every U.S. state. And I'm going to show you how to get these huge checks, upwards of $80,000. Thank goodness for you. Thank goodness for me. Step 1, subscribe. Step 2, become a member. Step 3, get that newsletter. Step 4, stay to the very end because we're going to get those 4 stimulus checks in every U.S. state. And are you ready? We're going to go over that after the commercial break. See you back in 60 seconds as LA continues its live mornings broadcast. Here's a little bit about the members community page. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right on air. Mornings LA continues from the shores of Santa Monica, California, where Ann during the commercial break said she's paying $5.49 a gallon for gasoline. And I need directions to that gas station. I need directions to that gas station because clearly I'm in Los Angeles as well, and I can't find it under $6.30. So she's $1 less. I assume that's with credit. I assume that's not cash. But boy, I'll give you some bacon. Send me the directions to that gas station. The great news is that a forced stimulus check is in every U.S. state. And the great news is I'm going to show you how to get it right now. Let's take a step back to understand how we got to the situation. It was in April of 2020 when the pandemic hit and millions of Americans were sent onto lockdown, lost their jobs, or were about to lose their businesses, that you needed money very quickly. And that's why this channel launched. I immediately got viewers $50 million. EIDL grant, PUA, PPP, LWA, a lot of items and a lot of money very quickly. Then, in December 2020, when Nancy Pelosi and Steve Mnuchin had not solidified the negotiations of the second stimulus package, you were hurting. You needed money. So I found it. And what it became was the earliest versions of Check C. We called it Purple at the time. It was not a lot of money. Rent and utilities and more. When third stimulus became law, that was codified and had a lot more money, upwards of $50 billion, I think it was in there. It was an enormous amount of money. Well, in March of this year, just a few weeks ago, I saw you and I wondering, what's going on with this Build Back Better Act? It's taking too much time. So I stepped up, I did the research, and I found the forced stimulus checks in every U.S. state. Finding stimulus checks in this environment is an art form. And for this art form, I'm the Picasso. Because it's not easy. And where did I find them? By executive order from Joseph Biden, one after another. So let's go over these incredible forced stimulus checks by understanding you can get them. Single, married, young, old, children, not children, on benefits, not on benefits. You can get them. They're in Arizona. They're absolutely in Arizona. They're in every U.S. state across the land, and we're going to go over all these incredible checks starting right now. These forced stimulus checks have a naming system I use on this channel only. Check A, B, C, and D. You're not going to see this anywhere else because this is not covered anywhere else in the American broadcasting landscape tonight or today. Check A. Like a start there with that first forced stimulus check is a $6,500 to $12,000 forced stimulus check. It is in every U.S. state, and boy, is it a lot. It is a forced stimulus check. Single individual, $75,000 or less, go get it. Married couple, $150,000 or less, go get it. And if you're on benefits, go get it. It is the homeowner's weatherizing grant check. How do you get this check? Step 1, subscribe to this channel. Step 2, become a member to this channel. There's a join button under the video. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. Step 3, get that newsletter. And step 4, go right in and apply for Check A in the newsletter. There's a link. It sends you into the website. You go in and apply. It's so simple. And you're done. Let's go to Check B, $15,000 to $80,000 forced stimulus check. My goodness, that is not a typo. That is not an $80 check. That is not an $8,000 check. That is an $80,000 forced stimulus check. A new report released last Thursday, said that consumer savings in the U.S. economy have shrunk from 75,000 in 2021 to 66,000, down 15%. That is signaling that your savings now on average are less than the stimulus check I have for you. Whoa, go get it. Single, 75,000 less annual income, go get it. Married couple, 150,000 less, go get it. And if you're on benefits, go get it. How do you get that check? B. So simple. Subscribe, you know the routine. Become a member, Purple Hawk, Purple Power Casino VIP, newsletter, go into the newsletter, go down to check B, and there's a link, and you go in and apply. So simple. Then you're not going to stop there, because then there's check C. Check C is actually checks C. Lots of checks in this category of check C. This is that check that had its earliest days of this channel. It's called Purple in 2020. Then it became Third Stimulus. Now it's called check C. It is averaging an MSC of $2,000 a month over 12 months right now. It is rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, and more. And how do you get this incredible check C? So simple. Again, you know the routine. Subscribe to this channel. Become a member, go into that membership newsletter, and go down to Check C. At Check C, I feature the places you reach out to call. Yes, with Check C's, you're not applying online. You are calling. I tell you where to call, what to say, and how to say it. And the Check C success stories have been enormous. These are the Check C success stories that have happened on this channel over the last year. Here is the numbers for rent. Whoa. Here's the numbers for utilities. Mark's brother-in-law got $15,000 thereafter. Here's the SNAP. Mark's brother-in-law is getting $25,000 a year over 10 years. That's $250,000. Here's the combos. Nisi, longtime viewer of this channel. She was at $23,000 in November last year. She's gotten $8,000 several times thereafter. She keeps on going back every week or so and getting more money. That is the true spirit of the Purple Power. You don't stop with one check, you continue to get more. You notice Mark was on the last graphic at 30,000, then he went to 50, then he went to 100 after this graphic, then he went to 166 because he got check B. Here's Lorraine, she was at 105, now she's at 120. How do you do this? It's so simple. You first go to the top of the channel and hit the subscribe button right now. Then you hit that membership link, become a member, Purple Hawk, Purple Power Casino VIP, then open that newsletter Monday through Friday. Go right in there. Apply for A, B, and C. And I got another check for you coming up in just a second. Stay to the very end. Now, what if you are also doing that, you also want to go to the front of this channel and hit the bell button. There's a little bell button. You want to make sure the notifications are set to all on. And lastly, if you're having problems finding the newsletter and you're a member, then send me a private message on Facebook, and I will send you an informational video, which viewers say that really helps them, shows them how to navigate the membership newsletter, how to open it, and how to apply. And with that, let's continue with the big breaker of a news story, which is, drumroll, student loan debt forgiveness. Oh boy, this came out of nowhere. Student loan debt forgiveness could be announced this coming week. Whoa. There's two items that Joe Biden has not done and he needs to do, and they are student loan debt forgiveness and SS300. One of the things you have to understand is that when I research the stories for every video, I research for a long time. But the commonality lately is that when I research, the number one lead story is always student loan debt forgiveness. The number one most popular trending story is student loan debt forgiveness. And Joe Biden clearly sees that. Mark Kranowitz, who is an education expert featured on this channel many times before, he's brilliant, says Biden's meeting this coming week with policymakers who are advocating for student loan debt forgiveness, and an announcement is or may be imminent. Wow. In all likelihood, student loan debt forgiveness will be limited to eligibility and amount, so you can't count on erasing all your student loan debts, says Karowski. That's huge. The president has forgiven student loan debts for individuals who became disabled after graduation, went to work in the nonprofit or public sector, and for individuals who were defrauded by the university. The debts that were in default were put in good standing, and the debts that were due in May were rolled over to September. Joe Biden has emphatically said he will not do $50,000 of student loan debt forgiveness. I believe it's going to be $10,000. This is why Joe Biden needs to get it done. Why? It's looking sort of silly, and it's looking sort of angry. Angry? Yeah, angry. When asked about that 50,000, as though it's sort of a prodding question. What about 50,000, Joe? Stop asking me about the 50,000. He looked very, very angry about it. Joe, just do the 10,000 and move on. Whatever number you want to do, just do it and move on, because it's starting to look very agitated. I've been reporting for over a week that I thought he was holding this one for the midterm elections. I don't think he can hold it any longer because there's too many people asking the question and they're really pushing really hard. Now, that needs to be done. Also needs to be done is the SS300. It just requires a phone call. Joe, make the call. Take this video, share on social media, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Hashtag LALATE. Hashtag Purple Power. Hashtag Joe, make the call. He needs to make the call, as he said he would, to that Social Security Administration head in JoeBiden.com, his presidential platform, to swap that COLA for inflation. Why? If you ask anyone, myself, Chuck Schumer, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Jay Powell, this economy is hurting the following two groups the most: low-income individuals and people on benefits, because you cannot absorb these higher costs of items. And that's why swapping COLA into inflation would raise your benefits up 2%, $200 more per month right now, because inflation is likely tracking at 8% right now. And if inflation tracks at 4% later this year, as I'm projecting, then your benefits will go up another $100 thereafter. If Jay Powell has it very wrong and inflation stays at 8% later this year, God forbid, then your benefits will go up $400 a lifetime, not $200. Hashtag Joe, make the call. Make the call right today, Joe, and get it done. Tonight on A-News LA, we'll feature more about this details one at a time, because there's a lot of fluidity at issue. Finally, here's what you need to know. There's a storm out to sea. It's called recession. I've been saying it's out to sea since the month of February. Now, recession is the word being said by broadcasters in virtually every recording. Now, the impact of this economy is starting to be felt a little bit beyond just the inflationary pressures. That little bit will be a bloodbath by September. By September, the real hurt of recession will start to be felt by everyone. And guess what they're going to be saying? LA, do you have a check for me? LALATE, do you have a check for me? That will be the stimulus stampede, I believe, coming in September, where thousands of more people will come on the channel saying, I need a check. This economy is really hurting me now. It's great news that you're watching me now in May, because you are going to go get these 4 stimulus checks now before the stimulus stampede comes and tries to get in front of you in line for the checks, or before the checks run out of funds. So, step 1, subscribe. Step 2, become a member. Step 3, go into that membership newsletter. And step 4, go down to check A, B, C. And yes, thank you for staying to the very end. There is another check in 24 plus states, and that is check D. Check D is a 4 stimulus check in 24 plus states, and could be more. I'm going to be updating the list later this coming week. And that check is on average a $2,000 automatic check that just sort of comes from your states. What is your state doing? How is it doing it? It's all in the membership newsletter. Go right in there and subscribe. Meantime, you need to stay with me throughout the day. There's too much breaking news lately on this channel, so the videos will not be overlapping in content. The content will be different throughout the day. Where do we go? Well, next up is noontime, 11 a.m. Then we got afternoons at 1, afternoons at 3, evenings at 5. Brand new show tonight, a major broadcast tonight. 6 o'clock is countdown. 7 is extra. 7 is stream stimulus. 8 is extra. 9 is sunset. And then always join me in the mornings, where we stop before sunrise with sunrise at 3 and 3:30. Early mornings at LALATE at 4. Mornings countdown at 7. And then mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. This video will automatically take you to the next one. It is home LALATE if you're watching it when it airs live. Start today by getting those big, incredible checks. A 4 stimulus check is in every U.S. state, and you deserve it. Subscribe, become a member, and join me throughout the day. From the shores of Santa Monica, California, the toast was toasting, the butter was buttering, and the stimulus is here. Go get it. Stay with LALATE for more.